Thank you for joining the Financial Brokerage webinar today on Grow Your Business by Referral Only with Bill Bachrach, renowned speaker and author of Values-Based Financial Planning. The session will begin momentarily. We will be accepting questions during the webinar. All questions must be typed. This can be done at the bottom of the control panel on your screen. On behalf of Financial Brokerage, I'd like to welcome all the webinar participants today. I am Justin Reeves, Sales Manager in the Life Department at Financial Brokerage, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Financial Brokerage is the home of the independent producer, providing fixed annuity, life, long-term care, and disability insurance for agents nationwide. Today's webinar topic is Grow Your Business by Referral Only. Bill Bachrach is the Chairman and CEO of one of the most influential companies in the financial services industry today. Their turnkey business model helps advisors create their ideal lives in 4 years or less. He has authored and co-authored industry bestsellers including Values-Based Financial Planning, High Trust Leadership, and Roadmap to Success. His next book, The Financial Advisor's Guide for Creating Your Ideal Life in 4 years or Less, will be released later this year. Thousands of advisors have attended his academy in San Diego, and he has delivered well over 1,000 presentations worldwide, including 5 presentations for the $1 Million Roundtable annual meeting, 3 times for the Top of the Table, and 9 times for the Financial Planning Association's National Convention. He is a member of 2 Halls of Fame, Financial Planning Magazine's Hall of Fame as one of our industry's most influential people, and the National Speakers Association recently inducted him into their Hall of Fame as a Lifetime Award for Speaking Excellence and Professionalism. Bill is also a member of the prestigious Speakers Roundtable. Bill achieved a personal milestone when he completed the Hawaii Ironman Triathlon, the 2.4-mile ocean swim, a 112-mile bike ride, and a 26.2-mile marathon run of the Hawaii Ironman is considered to be the toughest single-day athletic event in the world. Please help me welcome Bill Bachrach.
Thank you very much, Justin. A special thanks to you and Tasha and everybody at Financial Brokerage for hosting this webinar today. I know that you really care about helping your agents and advisors be more successful, and this webinar is just one more piece of evidence of your commitment to that. So on behalf of all of us on the webinar, we appreciate your commitment to hosting this webinar today. Let's begin by reminding ourselves that we are in a great business. This is a business where you can create what I call your ideal life income. So Justin mentioned in my introduction that our company's specialty is helping financial advisors create their ideal lives in 4 years or less by building an ideal client community by referral only using the values-based financial planning turnkey business model. Well, a key component of having your ideal life is you have to have enough money to fund your ideal life. So I call that your ideal life income. That's where you have enough money to pay for your present lifestyle. You have enough financial ability to get your own financial house in order. What that means is that you've got all the insurance that you need, your debt's under control, you're paying your taxes in full and on time, you've got the right amount of cash reserves, and of course you're saving and investing enough money to fund your future goals. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? You being a financial advisor giving other people advice about their financial life, it would make sense that you have your own financial life in order as well. So I call that your ideal life income. And that's one of the features of this great business called the financial services industry. Another great thing about this business is that you can have time freedom. So while it may take an extra amount of effort in the beginning of your business to really get it off the ground, you can have a business where you work 24 to 30 hours a week, maybe just working 3 or even 4 days a week, and have the time freedom to enjoy your ideal life. I mean, after all, what's the point of having all the money you need if you don't have the time to really enjoy it? And you can do that in this business. In this business, you can have both your ideal life income and time freedom. And then the third thing, which I think makes this the trifecta of the perfect business, is you get to help people. I mean, this isn't just a great business. Maybe this really is a perfect business. You get to help people. And the more effectively you are at helping people, the more you have time freedom and the money to enjoy your life as well. I mean, this really is a great business. And that's something that we're very passionate about here. This is the intrinsic value or opportunity that's available to everybody in our business. Unfortunately, most financial advisors, if you really examine the truth about their life, they work too many hours, earning too little money, doing business with too many of the wrong clients or customers. It's sort of like Maslow's hierarchy. Everyone could self-actualize, but not everybody does self-actualize. So it's our hope that today's webinar will have substantial impact on you achieving your highest level of success, where you have all the money you need to pay for your ideal life, more time to live your ideal life, and to do even more good for your clients. What's on the screen right now is a web page, and in the lower left-hand corner is a web address. You want to write this down because one of the great things about working with financial brokerage is that they are always looking for ways to help you be more successful. And so what we've done is we've partnered with them to create for you a special website with complementary and more valuable resources to help you maximize your potential business success. So the website in the lower left-hand corner of your screen is essentially our web address /SalesEdge. And what's on this screen, what's on this website rather, are a bunch of tools that you can use to help you be more successful. There is a group of webinars that you can access. There are audio recordings. There are articles. In the center, there's this tool called the Success Roadmap, and when you click on that, you'll get an explanation of how having a success roadmap will help you build a more successful business, and you're entitled to an hour of consulting with one of our coaches at no charge to complete your success roadmap. It's a great tool. And then another feature that's not currently on this screen but will be in the next day or two is in the upper left-hand section. I think you can see my cursor on your screen, but it's right under the S of Sales Edge. There is going to be an icon with a PDF where you can download the PDF of all the slides from today. And then you'll also be able to access a replay of this whole webinar. So if you're just joining, or if you have a friend who missed the webinar, or if you want to see something again, you know, you can watch a movie a second or third time and see things you didn't see the first time. You'll be able to replay the webinar with the slides and the voiceover so that you can watch it as many times as you need to. We're also going to talk about some scripting today when it comes to getting referrals, and I may speak faster than you can write, so the webinar plays like a DVD, and you can just pause it and rewind it and replay it until you get what you need so you can actually implement what you've learned here today. And as Justin mentioned, you can ask questions. Go to the control panel on your GoToWebinar, the GoToWebinar control panel rather, and you can text your questions in, and I'll periodically take a look at that and answer any questions that you have. So the subject is building your ideal client community by referral only. So we promised you some key things in today's webinar. We promised that we would talk about what is an ideal client community. We'll talk about your options for acquiring ideal clients. We'll address the question, are referrals truly the best way to add ideal clients? We'll explore what obstacles advisors encounter in building their business by referral only, and tactics to build your ideal client community by referral only as well. So that's what we promised, and that's what we will deliver so that you can have an ideal client community that you build by referral only. It's typically between 75 and 125 ideal clients. And let's just talk for a minute about what is an ideal client. An ideal client is someone who pays you enough money to be economically viable for the time that they consume, and they're the kind of people, personality-wise, that you really enjoy working with. So you know that some clients are more ideal than others because they have the kind of personality that you're looking for, and some people are more ideal than others because they pay you enough money to really make the economics of your business work. Typically, your ideal client community will need to generate between $500,000 and $2 million a year. So if you're a manager and you have more advisors in your office than just you, then that would be per advisor. But notice the next bullet point that's crucial. That's based on your personal financial plan. So that's a pretty big range, $500,000 to $2 million. Well, where we got that is in our training and coaching of financial advisors. We make sure that the financial advisors who are in our program actually know their numbers. So it's very important for you to know how much income do you need to pay for your present lifestyle, get your own financial house in order, and fund your future goals. Once you know that number, then you can add on top of that your business expenses and your taxes, and then that tells you how much gross production you should have in order to make your ideal life and your personal financial plan work. So it could be less than $500,000. It could be more than $2 million. In our experience, most financial advisors can make their business and their life work between $500,000 and $2 million a year. And as I mentioned, this gives you all the money you need to run your business, pay your taxes, pay for a great present lifestyle, and fund your goals. The other thing that happens when you have an ideal client community that you built by referral only is you now have a business that's really worth something. So if you have a transaction business with many hundreds or even thousands of clients, that doesn't have a lot of value because nobody really wants to buy that because it's impossible to serve that many clients, and being in the transaction business means you're starting over every year. So when you have a recurring revenue business with ideal clients, you have an asset that's worth at least 2 times the recurring revenue. So you now have a sellable business that's worth millions of dollars. So your business should be, if not your biggest asset in your own portfolio, one of your biggest assets, and done right, it definitely can be. And of course, a much higher quality of life. So when you are dealing with people who are paying you what you're worth and are enjoyable to work with, and you have enough of them to generate all the business revenue that you need, your life is pretty darn good. So in 4 years or less, that can happen for you. So let's address the question, why referrals? Referrals are not the only way to build a business. So why referrals? Well, first of all, surveys indicate that most people prefer to find their financial advisor by referral. Second of all, most clients are willing to refer others to their advisor. And most clients, interestingly enough, are never asked by their advisor for referrals. So I've been in this business almost 30 years, and I've seen a number of studies on this subject, and they all say basically the same thing. These 3 things. People want to find their advisor by referral. Your current clients are willing to refer. Interestingly enough, most clients who are surveyed say they've never been asked by their advisor for referrals. So there's clearly an opportunity to build your business by referral, and we'll talk in detail about how you do that. Now you compare that with cold calling, direct mail, seminars, radio shows, and advertising. All these means of acquiring clients, while they can work, they cost a lot more per ideal client in terms of time, effort, and money. So if your business expenses are higher, then you either have to take less profit, which means you don't have the money for your ideal life, or you have to charge your clients more. And it's not really adding any value. The money that your clients pay you for your marketing system doesn't really add any value to them. So referrals clearly are the best way to acquire clients. Let's talk about some of the keys to that actually happening. Peter Drucker says it's not that miracles don't happen, it's just that you can't depend on them. And the reason I put that quote in here is because referrals are the most dependable way to generate new ideal clients. But they don't happen by accident. If you're sitting around waiting for unsolicited referrals to come in, you may get a few unsolicited referrals. It's unlikely, however, that you'll get enough unsolicited referrals where you will be able to build your business with ideal clients only in any kind of a reasonable time frame. You're going to have to be more proactive than that. As Drucker says, don't wait for a miracle to happen. Do something that's more predictable and dependable. So I'll slide in a couple of examples of people who've made this transition just so that you have a little inspiration for what's possible. So Fred Herdman is an example of someone who was building his business by seminar. So he had over 500 clients, but he had very few ideal clients. He found himself where he said, I'm really more in the seminar business than I am in the financial services business, and I find that I'm doing plans for lots of the wrong people. His business revenue on the outside looked good, $1 million producer. But if you examined it more closely, the cost of client acquisition was so high that he only had $150,000 of profit to distribute to himself as personal income. He's working 65 to 70 hours a week. He's got 11 employees to make his seminar business work, always stressed out, cash flow always an issue. It was a big challenge. So Fred made the same decision that you can make. He said, I think I'm going to make the transition to building my business by referral only. And in just a few years, he has 75 ideal clients. $900,000 of business revenue, and you might say, wow, his total revenue went down. Yeah, his revenue went down by $100,000, but the hassle factor was cut significantly, and his income tripled. So instead of having $1 million business with a 15% profit, he has a $900,000 business with a 50% profit. He's working 4 days a week, and he's got time for all the things that matter to him. If you look at the pictures that are on the screen, that's Fred with his family. Those are just his kids and his grandkids. And so it matters to Fred to not only be helping people, but now Fred is living his ideal life. And he did it by making a conscious decision to shift his business to referrals only. What about today's economy? I appreciate that the economy isn't as bad as it was in 2009 and 2010. It seems to be moving in the right direction, but you certainly couldn't call what's happening today a great economy. So Tom Moore, one of the advisors who also has made this commitment, he says, you know, it's kind of interesting. Before September of 2008, when I called referrals rather, the most common thing they would say is, I'm happy with my advisor. They aren't saying that anymore. And so what's cool about that, the point that Tom is really making, is that it's when people are going through challenging times, when the market is an issue, the economy is an issue, that's a great time to be acquiring clients. It's a great time to be asking for referrals. It's a great time to be following up with the people that you're being referred to, because it's not maybe that they're unhappy with their advisor, but when things are challenging, that door is a little bit more open to having a conversation with you. So I would argue that the more difficult the economy is, the more challenging the markets are, the more turbulence there is in the world, the more uncertainty that people have, the more receptive they are to talking with you about their financial future. Now, with anything, there are always obstacles involved. If you're familiar with my work and my speeches and my seminars and our coaching and our training, you know that I'm a very direct communicator. I don't pull any punches, and I'm not suggesting that being a successful financial advisor is easy. There's a reason why the vast majority of people who enter this business do not survive past the first couple of years. And those who do survive past the first couple of years, most of them are not exactly what you would call successful. So there are obstacles in implementing any kind of a business development strategy. When it comes to referrals, the obstacles are that most financial advisors are not confident enough that what they deliver is special or unique enough to justify the request. This is why it's important that you want to be more than just a product salesperson. So I'm not talking about anything ethical or anything honest or an integrity issue, but basically if all you do is sell insurance or sell annuities or gather assets, if that's all you do, that really doesn't distinguish you very much from all the other financial advisors or agents or product pushers out there, and it doesn't give you much of a foundation from which to show up with confidence to say, you should really introduce me to your friends, family, and colleagues because I do something that's above what most financial advisors do. You've experienced it, and it'd be great for your friends, family, and colleagues to experience it. So that confidence comes from actually being really good at what you do. And being really good at what you do is probably beyond just having a specialty in a particular product. Some financial advisors have told me that an obstacle is the feelings of guilt that they're asking for a favor from their clients when they may not have done enough to earn the right to do so. And so 1 and 2 sort of go hand in hand, but some of it is just a little baggage that you have to get over. I know financial advisors who do an incredible job for their clients and still feel uncomfortable asking for referrals. So some of these things you just have to get past. Some advisors have told me they feel uncomfortable asking for referrals when investment returns are down. You know, the market's down, the economy's bad. You know, how do I ask my clients for referrals when the performance hasn't been very good? Another obstacle is skill. They just don't have enough skill at executing a script and a process for asking for referrals, confidence, and no script or process. So we're going to cover all of these things, and you'll see in the process that I'll share with you today that it addresses all of these obstacles, and if you implement what we're talking about, you'll get past all of those things. As a reminder, you can text any questions that you have into the questions area of the GoToWebinar control panel. There are essentially 5 key ingredients to building a business by referral. First thing is you have to have a script or a process for asking. I mentioned earlier it doesn't happen by accident. Peter Drucker said, miracles do happen, but you can't depend on them. So everything that you do, in my opinion, and I've been doing this for almost 30 years, I've either been a successful financial advisor or been in the business of helping other financial advisors be successful for my entire adult life. And the key to success, without question, is knowing what you're going to say. It's being on purpose. Essentially, you can wing it or you can be on purpose. I don't think it takes a genius to figure out that winging it will not produce as good a results as being on purpose. So this is all about your communication skills, what you say, how you say it, when you say it. Scripting is how you show up on purpose when it comes to communication skills. So a weak level of scripting would be to at least have talking points. Stronger level of scripting is to actually have scripted out verbatim what you're going to say and memorize it so it's so internalized and ingrained in your memory that you can say it without thinking about it. So having a process and a script for asking for referrals is vital. Then, of course, you want to have a process for orchestrating a warm introduction so that your clients who refer you to their friends, family, and colleagues basically set you up so that you can make a nice connection. So we'll talk about how that's accomplished, but again, this is a process. One of my friends calls it lip loading. Lip loading is where you actually teach your clients what to say to their friends, family, and colleagues about you so that when you call, the people you're calling that you've been referred to and introduced to are receptive to your call. There's a process for that. A process and a script for making the follow-up call to the referral. So let me just back up a minute. You have a script and a process for asking for the referral. Your client has said, yeah, I've got some people who I think could benefit from knowing you and what you do. Now you orchestrate a nice warm introduction so that your clients are in contact with their friends, family, and colleagues to say, my financial advisor is really a great person. He or she has done a really good job for me. Here's why I think you ought to talk to them. Now you've got to make the call. You can still screw it up from there. So what you say and what you do determines how effective the connection is. So now you have a script for actually making the follow-up call. What if you get the machine? What do you say on the machine? How do you leave a strong message? What do you do if they answer? What do you do if you feel more like you've been referred to the husband and the wife answers the phone, or vice versa? What if one of the kids answers the phone? What if the nanny answers the phone? What if the housekeeper answers the phone? So all this happens on purpose. You don't know exactly what's going to happen on the other side when you make the call, but you do know what to say and do regardless of which of the possible outcomes actually occurs. Now, I talk about what I call free, relevant, and easy. So when you make the call, what you're going to offer to them should be an easy next step. So in other words, it's something easy for them to agree to. It also has to be relevant. In other words, if you're going to call me up, even if you've been referred to me, if I'm going to give you more of my valuable time, then you're going to have give me a good reason for doing that. It's got to be relevant. And then, of course, the next step, it makes sense that it would be free. And I'll get into the details of our model in a moment. Our next step is just a phone consultation. It's free. We'll talk for 20 minutes by phone appointment to discuss some things that might be valuable to you. It's relevant, things that might be valuable to you, and here's why. And it's easy. It's easy to schedule a phone appointment. I don't have to get dressed. I don't have to get in my car. I don't have to leave my office or my home. I don't have to battle traffic. I don't have to get my financial documents together. I don't have to coordinate much with anybody else, if anything with anybody else. So free, relevant, and easy. Your offer should be free, relevant, and easy. And of course, this offer for everything being free, relevant, or the next step rather being free, relevant, and easy is done by script. And then of course, what do you do after you've had this phone conversation with them and they say, yeah, we'd like to get together? Well, the way that you really mine the gold of the opportunity that you've been given when a referral agrees to meet with you is your initial client interview also scripted and really effective? So when the couple comes in with all their financial documents to meet with you, where the outcome of that meeting is they could hire you or not, how effective are you at conducting that initial client interview when you meet face-to-face? So it's not just the referral part, it's the conversion of the referral to a client part. All these are key ingredients. Now I'm talking about the key ingredients, but let me just for a moment share with you what the secret ingredient is. So everybody says, well, there must be some secret. There must be some strange reason why so many smart, capable people choose a more difficult, more random, and more expensive path for client acquisition than referrals. And it's true. It's amazing how many people after a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or even 20 or 25 or 30 years in this business, if you say, tell me about your process for asking for referrals. Show me your script for asking for referrals, making follow-up calls, in your client interview. And the vast majority of financial advisors, regardless of their level of experience, do not have a referral process. So there must be some logical reason why that is. And there is. The secret is really pretty simple. The secret ingredient to building your business by referral is deciding to. I'm pausing for effect to let that sink in. It's deciding to. It's saying, you know what, I'm going to give up the radio show, I'm going to get rid of the seminars, I'm going to stop dripping on people with direct mail, I'm going to stop e-blasting them, and once and for all, I'm going to implement a scripted referral process and get really good at it. I mean, if you're really honest with yourself, how long do you think it would take to memorize a script for asking for referrals? How long do you think it would take to effectively deliver a script on the phone when you make the call? Notice I didn't say memorize. You don't have to memorize a script for anything you do on the phone because you can have your notes right in front of you. It's like me delivering this webinar right now. I've got all my notes in front of me. I didn't have to memorize everything I'm saying. All I had to do was prepare, write it out, and be able to deliver what I've scripted in advance in a way that's conversational. So it doesn't take long to memorize the script for asking your clients for referrals, getting effective at delivering the script when you make the follow-up call, and effectively being able to conduct a phone consultation and a face-to-face interview. So the only rational explanation for why more people haven't done that must be because they just haven't decided to. So what's coming up on the screen right now is kind of a picture that may seem incongruous to you. Why would there be a picture of Hines Ward and his partner from Dancing with the Stars? Well, the reason that I put this picture up here is because my wife likes to watch the show Dancing with the Stars, and I have to admit, I've come to enjoy it as well. And my point is, if Hines Ward can learn to cha-cha and quick step in a week, and then do it on TV in front of a big studio audience and broadcast that to millions of people around the world, and then ultimately become, what do they call it? I forget, there's the champion of Dancing with the Stars, and they get a trophy. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, if a football player with big feet can learn how to be the Dancing with the Stars champion, certainly you can master a referral process. But I can tell you, I could hand you the best referral process on the planet, and if you haven't decided that it's really what you're going to do, then it's not going to make any difference. Deciding to is always the most important ingredient of anything that you'll do to be successful, and it's no different with referrals. Are you just listening to this webinar today because you think it might be interesting? Or are you listening to this webinar because you're really making a commitment to build your business by referral only? I mentioned earlier your ideal client profile. So this is just a visual. If you're going to get ideal clients by referral only, you're going to have to be really clear about what an ideal client looks like. You're going to want to take some time outside this webinar to write down exactly what an ideal client looks like in terms of money and mindset. How much money does an ideal client pay you, and what's their mindset? They're probably financial delegators rather than do-it-yourselfers. They're probably people who are willing to trust and follow somebody's advice. They probably are enjoyable to meet with. They probably show up for their meetings on time. They probably show up for their meetings prepared, things like that. So as you describe the mindset and the personality, you start to get a clear picture of who you want as an ideal client. And it's very important to have a clear picture of who you want as an ideal client, because the more clear you are about what you want, the more likely you are to get that. So how do you actually ask for referrals? Well, there's scripting coming up on the screen right now, and as I mentioned, you may want to watch this DVD of this webinar several times, because I'm going to move through this content being aware that this is being recorded so that you can watch it as many times as you need to in order to really internalize building your business by referral. So it may say something like, I'm building a community of ideal clients, people similar to you in that they, and you would read your ideal client profile. Could sound like this. Fred and Susan, I'm building a community of ideal clients. These are people similar to you in that they can afford to pay $10,000 a year to somebody like me to help them get their entire financial house in order and keep it that way. They're people who tend to like to have a relationship with somebody that they can trust, people who are what we call financial delegators. In other words, they're looking for someone who's got resources and a team of people like we have who we can give them really good advice and they'll follow that advice. The opposite of a financial delegator would be a do-it-yourselfer. Obviously, we work better with people like you who are financial delegators. We also like to work with people like you who are respectful of professionals. So you always show up for your meetings on time. You show up prepared. If you've got a challenge or an issue, you call us in advance. You're just kind of courteous and nice people. So we want to work with people like you who are courteous and nice, who value professional advice and will follow it, and have the capacity to pay the $10,000 annual fee that we charge. So who do you know who looks like that? Okay, so it's really pretty simple. I'm just giving you some insights into how you ask. Now, once they start giving you some names, remember I said you have to contact people with things that are relevant. So the next thing that you do is you ask questions. So let's say that Fred and Susan, my clients, say, you know, our neighbors, Ken and Elena, we think they probably meet your profile and would get value from the work that you do. And I'd say, well, interesting. Tell me about Ken and Elena. What makes you think that they would get value from the same experience or similar experience that you've had in working with us? And now they're going to start telling me about Ken and Elena. And this is very important because I'm going to call Ken and Elena in a day or two. And when I call Ken and Elena, the more I know about them, the more I can engage in a conversation with them and communicate to them why having a 20-minute phone conversation with me will be relevant for them. So I'll ask the question, what makes you think they'll get value from the work that we do? Who do they care about? So it might be helpful for me to know that Ken and Elena don't have any children. So Ken and Elena are my actual next door neighbors. So if I were asking Fred and Susan about Ken and Elena, Fred and Susan are going to tell me about them. It might be helpful for me to know that they don't have any children, but they are passionate about their dogs. They treat their dogs, Shanna and Kelly, like their children. Both of their dogs are good-sized German Shepherds, and their world revolves around their dogs like any other couple's world would revolve around their family or their kids. Their dogs are their family. I also could tell you about Elena's parents. I could tell you about Ken's mother who's still living. I could tell you that what Ken's hobbies and interests are. The bottom line is that I could answer the questions. So your clients can answer the questions about their friends and family and colleagues so that when you call, you're prepared to engage them in a conversation. You won't use everything that you learn about the people you're referred to, but you'll pick and choose some things from your notes that you think will be more compelling when you call. So what do they do for fun? What charitable or community service things are they involved in? So what this starts to give you an indication of is these are people who have a certain kind of personality. They have certain things that they're interested in. They have causes and people that they care about. And by understanding these things, I have a higher probability of being able to engage them in a conversation when we call, so I don't sound like a financial services product salesperson who's just trying to sell them something. Very important. Are you really a trusted advisor who's calling to help? Or are you more of a salesperson who's calling to sell? So when you call, this conversation is a conversation to be of service, not a conversation to be of sales. In the process of being service, you'll have an opportunity to be hired. But in the beginning, you're purely being of service because that's how you build a bond of trust so that people would ultimately want to hire you at all. So just a reminder, you've got a control panel on your GoToWebinar. If you have any questions, feel free to text those questions in, and I will periodically take a look at that and answer your questions. So that's how you ask. Well, then what happens next? Well, what happens next is you add some value. You've heard me talk about being of service. So one of the things that happens is your client calls up their friend who they refer to you, and they say good things about you. Excuse me. So I would call my friends and neighbors Ken and Elena, and I would say, my financial advisor is a good person. I have referred them to you because I think you'll really get some value from knowing him or her, whether you do business with them or not. So take their call, and here's why. So some things are happening before you call that really lay the groundwork or pave the way for the call to actually occur. Excuse me. So how are you adding value? Well, one thing you could do to add value, and this is a part of the values-based financial planning process, is you could send a book. So something that has content in it that would be valuable whether they do business with you or not. You could send a newsletter. You could send a white paper. The key is that it has to be something that adds value whether they ever become a client or not. A marketing piece or a brochure is not recommended because it's all about you and does not add value. So we also don't recommend that you send something that is like a market update or report or an economic commentary because these things become very, very dated. You want to be careful about being perceived as some kind of a product salesperson. You don't want to be perceived as an investment advisor or an insurance agent or an annuity salesperson. So remember, I talked about this earlier. Are you really operating at a level of being a true comprehensive financial advisor that distinguishes you from what they probably already have? They probably already have an insurance agent. They probably already have an annuity sales rep. They probably already have an investment advisor. So if you kind of back up to the beginning of what we talked about, are you really someone who can show up in people's lives and add value beyond just your expertise in a product? So I talked earlier about creating relevance, and the reason that there's the picture on your screen of the dog shooting pool is because every pool player knows that the key to success is not only sinking the shot you're attempting, but placing the cue ball in the right place for the next shot. So the key to success in building a business by referral is not only asking for referrals and introductions, but being prepared when you call to engage the client. So when I call Ken and Elena, I can identify specifically for them how the item that we placed in their world will be valuable in a way that impacts something that matters to them. So I do this by using what we learned from the client to make this connection. So here's how it sounds. So in our system, we would send them a copy of the book Values-Based Financial Planning, and it would say something like, let's say that Ken answers the phone. Hi, Ken. My name is Bill Bachrach. Your friend Tom asked me to call, and I promised that I would. Tom and I are the ones who sent you that book, Values-Based Financial Planning. And I've been looking forward to this call because Tom said you like to make a difference in the community. Like the time you volunteered to chair the fundraiser for cancer and raise the most amount of money. Tom thought you might find value in connecting some of the ideas in the book with your goals for taking care of your family and making a difference in your community. The purpose of this call is to schedule a phone appointment to discuss it. So I'm going to go through that a little bit more slowly just to break it down for you. So backing up, notice how I begin. I introduce by using their name and telling them who I am. Then I reference their friend, my client. Your friend Tom asked me to call, and I promised that I would. Tom and I are the ones who sent you that book, Values-Based Financial Planning. So now I'm making the connection. Oh, you're the one who sent the book, and you're the one that Tom said is a really good guy who could add value to my life, whether we'd ever do business or not. But then I don't want to just leave that there. I want to communicate that I know something meaningful about you, and this call has relevance to what you care about. That's when I say, and I've been looking forward to this call because Tom said you like to make a difference in the community. Like the time you volunteered to chair the fundraiser for cancer and raise the most amount of money. So where did I find that out? Well, my client, Tom, told me that about the person that I'm calling. They know things about their friends, family, and colleagues, and based on the questions that I asked, I drew these things out. So when I made the phone call, I could say something that was meaningful. Now, I have to make the connection. Tom thought you might find value in connecting some of the ideas in the book that we sent with your goals of taking care of your family and making a difference in the community. The purpose of this call is to schedule a phone appointment to discuss it. So there has to be relevance there. Now, I know that the content of values-based financial planning has a lot of ideas in it that will make a difference in people's lives, whether they do business with me or not. So I've put something in their world that adds value, and I have a script and a process. When we do have the phone consultation, I have a predetermined way to add value to their life, whether we do business or not. At the end of that conversation, I'll have a clear call to action of what the next step is. So let's talk about clear call to action because that's very important. What is the call to action? Remember I talked about it has to be free, relevant, and easy. So the call to action is something simple they can do without a big investment or of time or energy. We recommend a phone appointment as the next step. So what I've proposed is, hey Ken, I know that you're busy, and I know you've got a lot on your plate. I know that there's not really a guarantee that I can really do something that would be valuable for you. So my suggestion is that we just take 20 minutes on the phone, and I'll walk you through a couple of the key concepts in the book that we sent so you can have an understanding how these concepts could have a positive impact in your life on the things that matter for you. Whether we ever do business or not, you'll get some value from that 20-minute phone consultation. Does that work for you? And he's either going to say, yes, it works for me. No, it doesn't work for me. Most often what they do is ask questions. So when you make as few as 10 of these phone calls, you hear all the questions they're going to ask. So what do? Well, you're back to being prepared. You say, well, I know from experience that these are the 3 or 4 questions that typically get asked. So I don't always get asked all 3 or 4 questions, nor do I get asked the same questions in the same sequence every time. However, I know that these are the most popular 3 or 4 questions, or common 3 or 4 questions, so I'm going to be prepared to answer those questions. So the metaphor that I would use is, it's kind of like being, and you can take any sport, I'm just going to use baseball for this analogy. If you're a batter, you're going to step into the batter's box, and there's a pitcher, and the pitcher is going to throw pitches to you, and your goal is to hit one of those pitches and advance the runners who are already on base, if there are any, and get on base yourself if possible. Not too complicated. The pitcher is going to throw some pitches. Well, there are only so many options. They can throw a fastball, they can throw a curveball, they can throw a slider, they can throw a changeup. I mean, there are only so many options. So as a batter, the batter wouldn't step into the batter's box and be shocked, oh my God, there's a curveball. I've never seen that before. Well, of course you knew it was possible that the pitcher could throw you a curveball, because this isn't your first time being a batter. Oh my God, a changeup. Who would have thought that was coming? I never would have imagined that. So you may, as the batter, not successfully hit the pitch that's thrown to you, but you should never be surprised to see it. So the point of my analogy is that it is as important to your ability to build a business by referral to know from experience what questions people are going to ask. Excuse me. So let me give you a couple of examples. So we know from experience in teaching our referral process that the 3 most common questions are, well, I haven't yet read the book. I already have a financial advisor. And then sometimes they ask, well, gee, it seems like you're willing to give me a lot of value. Why would you do this? What's in it for you? So we have scripts for all that. So for example, if they say, well, I haven't read the book yet, the response to that is, yeah, I appreciate that. Tom told me that you're very, very busy. It'll take you several hours to read the book, and there are a couple of concepts in the book that are actually better explained and even experienced through conversation. So my suggestion is that you take 20 minutes with me. I'll help you get focused on a couple of the best concepts in the book in 20 minutes. If you want to read the whole book, you can do it if you want to. Otherwise, you'll have saved yourself a lot of time. So when would work for you to get together for a 20-minute phone consultation? Now notice the pattern. I answered the question or responded to the comment, and then I asked a question that brings it to conclusion. I'm not closing. This isn't about closing. This isn't about trial closes. This really isn't about selling at all. I've put a good offer on the table that's relevant. My prospective client, the referral, has a legitimate comment or question. It's very important. These are not objections. So I personally do not believe in objections. I don't believe in objection handling. To me, those are antiquated ideas from an antiquated idea called selling. So you're not selling. You're offering something of value. So there's not an objection. He just has a comment. The comment is, I haven't read the book yet, so maybe we should wait to do this until after I've read the book. And I have a response. My response is, you could do that, but here's why it would be in your best interest and save you some time to talk to me for 20 minutes. And then I ask, so do you want to do that? So the second common thing that we hear is, well, I already have a financial advisor. That's no problem. So most of the people that we talk to already have a financial advisor. So let me just tell you how this will work. We'll take 20 minutes on the phone, and I'll share some insights with you that are from that book, Values-Based Financial Planning, that'll help you be more effective in making all your decisions in your life. Now, you may take these concepts and you may use them on your own. You may take these concepts and may actually enhance your relationship with your existing financial advisor, or you may decide that you'd like to get together with me. I'm comfortable with any outcome. There really are no strings attached. You'll do whatever makes most sense for you. If that means working with me, fine, we'll take it to the next step. If that means not working with me, that's okay too. I don't really have an expectation that every single person I talk to is going to be a good fit to do business with me. Does that seem fair to you? Now, do you notice how I sound like a trusted advisor, not a salesperson. A salesperson would probably say things like, well, your financial advisor probably sucks, or your financial advisor probably isn't as good as me, or did your financial advisor, tell you about this product or get you out of the market before it tanked? It's not a competition with other financial advisors. Essentially what you do is you behave at a higher level than most financial advisors, therefore you attract clients to you. So there's a clear call to action. And then the last most common question that we hear, at least in implementing the process that we teach, is they'll say, well, it's very generous of you to give me some time, but I'm a little skeptical. There's no free lunch. I mean, what's in it for you? Well, it's a good question. This is how I acquire clients. And I can tell you statistically that 1 out of every 3 people that I'm referred to does become a client. But I don't know which are going to be the 2 that don't become a client and who's going to be the one who does become a client. So what I do is my clients, your friend Tom, refers me to people like you. I do things that are good for you. I send you a book. I send you some newsletters. I give you some time on the phone. I add value to your life, and hopefully that distinguishes me, and you might say something like, wow, you're really the kind of person we'd like to take the next step with. Some of the people I get referred to do, and some of the people I get referred to don't. I just accept it's just part of the equation. So if I can add value for 3 people and one of them becomes a client, that math works for me and is good enough for me to build a successful business. So I don't know if you're going to be one of the 2 people who just get value and don't become a client, or if you're going to be the 1 person who gets value and does become a client. I'd say we set that aside for right now and just focus, how can I help you? And the best way I could help you is just by taking 20 minutes on the phone to talk about how some of the concepts could make a difference for you, and then we'll just take it 1 step at a time. Does that work for you? So you're getting, I hope, the impression as you listen to me talk on this webinar today that everything is scripted, everything is deliberate, and everything is very trusted advisor-ish and not sales-ish. Because the fastest way to turn people off is to have them feel like this is just a tactic so you can get a chance to sell your product or service. What it is it's a way of adding value. In the process of adding value, you begin to establish a trusting relationship, and there'll be a logical place where it comes up for you to offer to do business. So I'm not going to take a lot of time on this, but we'll just take a moment to discuss what do you do on the phone consultation. So I've put all the bullet points up on the screen. Essentially what you do is you create a positive experience. You ask questions that make them think about something personal and meaningful. If you're familiar with values-based financial planning, then you know that my favorite question is, what's important about money to you? And that's the question that gets people talking about their values. What are some of your goals that require money and planning to achieve? So I want to get people talking about the emotional things that matter to them, and those are their values, as well as talking about some of the tangible things they want to accomplish, and those are their goals. And I might float the idea, what do you think about the idea of having a comprehensive financial plan, so no matter what happens in the market, the economy, or the world, you feel confident about achieving your goals? So these are some of the questions you could ask on the phone consultation, and what happens is you get good at the back and forth discussion that happens when 2 people are having an honest conversation. And it could lead to making an offer, and it may not. If it leads to making an offer, the next step would be for them to come in with their spouse and all their documents and engage in the interview. In a moment, I'll put up a flow chart of how all these pieces fit together. So you can either build your own process, or if you're interested, you can invest in our process. Either way, your process will have to have all of these ingredients to be successful. So I'll cover a couple of points about the values-based financial planning way. So you have a referral conversation where you gather information that's meaningful, important, significant, and or compelling. We talked about that. The client actually writes a note on the cover of the values-based financial planning book saying something positive to their friend, family member, or colleague about who they're referring. So whatever gets sent, 2 things happen. One is that the client gets the book with a note on it, and they get a phone call from their friend telling them that the book or the item of value is coming, why it's being sent, and that the person who's behind this whole thing, you, the advisor, is a quality human being that they ought to talk to. Then you send the book, and you follow up in a couple of days, making the connection between the concepts in the book and the meaningful, important, significant, and compelling information that you gathered in the referral conversation. The call to action is a 20-minute phone consultation where the relevant concepts in the book are discussed for the benefit of the referral, and then the next step in our process is a financial roadmap interview. And the financial roadmap interview is our initial client meeting. A lot of people call it the discovery meeting. We call it the financial roadmap interview because there's actually an interactive visual tool called the financial roadmap. And the financial roadmap is well documented and described in values-based financial planning. So let me walk you through the ingredients of having a really good turnkey business model. And you can use this as an example of all the pieces that you need to have in order to have a very successful referral-based business. So I'm beginning with the initial client interview because that's the place where they decide whether or not they're going to hire you. If they hire you, then you and your team will create a comprehensive financial strategy. Then you'll have a meeting where you give your advice and your clients implement your advice. At the end of the implementation meeting, and we call it an implementation meeting, you have your first referral conversation and you get some referrals. Then you cycle into your regular meetings with your clients. If you're really going to help your clients get their entire financial house in order and keep it that way forever, and truly be a comprehensive financial advisor who distinguishes yourself from all the generic financial advisors and agents in the marketplace, you're going to meet with your clients on a regular basis. In our system, we call it the 3-meeting process, where you meet with your clients every 4 months, 3 times a year, and there's a predetermined agenda that you cycle through to make sure your clients get their entire financial house in order. Their asset allocation is working, their taxes are being, they pay the least amount of taxes, and their taxes get planned and prepared and filed on time. All their estate planning and legal documents are in place. Every type of insurance that exists is in place. They really have their entire financial house in order. At every progress meeting, you have a referral conversation and you get some referrals. Now, the bottom part of this flow chart is what we've been talking about. The client contacts the referral and says good things about you. The client receives some value. You make the follow-up phone call. Some people go to the next step and some people opt out. You have the phone consultation. Some people opt out and some people go to the next step. Those who go to the next step are doing the financial roadmap with you, and the cycle begins again. What I just added to this flow chart in the lower left-hand corner is what we call self-referrals. Self-referrals is a way of engaging people you already know. It could be your existing clients. It could be past prospects who haven't done business with you. It could be your friends, your family, your colleagues from previous businesses that you've been involved in, people that you meet from networking events or other social events. Self-referrals is simply following the same process where you engage people, and instead of asking your client about people they're referring you to, you ask those questions directly, and then you just make the offer directly to put value in their world and follow the same process. Ultimately, some of those people come in for the initial interview, and some of those people do become clients. The core essence of the message today is that it's scripted and that it's a process. I've demonstrated some of these scripts, and I've given you all of the ingredients from the process. Eleanor Roosevelt is famous for saying, "Learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself." So the bottom line is you can take these ideas and you can create a process. You can connect with us. We obviously have a process. And there are other good referral processes out there that I've seen from experts who've developed referral processes. And I can tell you they all work. I obviously have some pride of authorship about values-based financial planning because I invented it and it's our methodology. So it would be natural for me to think that's the best. But candidly, I've seen other referral processes that I think are excellent and work. My main point to you is maybe it doesn't make sense to reinvent the wheel. Find a process that already exists, because that will give you the shortest path to building your business by referral only. As Ray Kroc, not the inventor of McDonald's, but the guy who made McDonald's what it is today, he says capitalism works if you do. And I would say the same about building your business by referrals. Building your business by referrals works if you do the work to implement building your business by referral. What's on the screen right now is a reminder that you can get a success roadmap completed. As a benefit of your relationship with Financial Brokerage, we will do your success roadmap for you. Essentially, it's about a 1-hour consultation where we will take you through a values conversation, help you define and prioritize your goals, and benchmark your current business success metrics. This tool is very powerful because you can use it to create a better business plan, and it's also a great visual to inspire you to do the work that you need to do, especially on the days when you don't feel like it. So it's an interactive coaching consultation, and we'll actually send you a big 17 by 22 full-color version of your success roadmap that's suitable for framing, because we think this will help you build a better business and do the work you need to do. So the email address is on your screen if you want to take advantage of that. We're about 2 minutes past the bottom of the hour, so I appreciate your indulgence with a couple of extra comments there. The bottom line is that I hope what we've talked about here today has been valuable to you. I know that Financial Brokerage cares very much about your success, and that's why they bring you webinars like this. And I'm going to turn it back over to Justin and say good luck in implementing, and if there's anything we can do to help, you just let us know. Justin, back to you.
Thanks, Bill. I would like to thank everyone who attended the webinar today. If you have any questions concerning this webinar, please contact Financial Brokerage Sales Manager at 1-800-397-9999. The next scheduled webinar with Bill will be August 17th. Time, priority, and calendar management. The secret to being a highly successful financial advisor. There are fundamental truths for figuring out your priorities, placing them on your calendar, and developing the discipline to consistently honor your calendar. Get a head start by marking your calendar now to join us. Watch for your invitation in July. Have a productive day.